good afternoon, whatever time you're watching this. This is Kathy, Crowder's Mountain, North Carolina. And if you watched my previous video, you probably realized that I could not connect the two together. The video just got too long. I was going to do the corn and beans and the cow in the same video, but that didn't work. So anyway, back again, and here's the cow. And I'm going to upload this one the same day that I upload the corn and beans, so you'll have the pair together. Alright, are y'all ready? This is not going to be hard, but I have to tell you, there's a lot of just weird sort of measuring, and instead of just measuring it exactly, I'm just going to say, okay, come down 1/2 inch and that kind of thing. So yours don't have to be exactly like mine, because this pattern, I don't know who it belonged to, but I've seen it for 3 or 4 years at different people painting similar patterns to this one. So I kind of put my own spin on this one, and if I knew who originally designed it, I would give them credit for it, but I don't know. So anyway, thank you to the person who came up with the original design. Now I'm going to show you guys how I'm doing it. So the first thing, I'm using paper. Now, I got to remind you of that. I get asked all the time, why are you putting it on paper and how do I transfer it to my board? Well, I'm just using paper and Sharpies so that you can see the lines that I'm drawing and the pattern will show up better. When I put it on my board, I use heat erasable pens, and I can just either wipe it off, or I can just use my heat tool to get rid of the lines when I'm ready for it. So let's get started on this one. So the first thing we want to do, okay, I'm using, you know how I usually flip it over and use the blank side? Well, I'm using the gridded side today. And these are 1-inch grids. And the only reason I'm doing that is just so you can see my measurements better. But to help us even more, I'm going to block it off in 4 blocks. 4 across, 4 up. And this is 24 inches, so I'm dividing 4 into 24 and getting 6. Now, I just measured every 6 inches. Actually, I used my block since I had the grid already. And I've got 4 blocks, 6 by 6, across and up. So some folks would call that a 16 block grid, and others just say 4 blocks. So 4 blocks over and up. All right, now let's draw that cow. I'm going to try to do the outline of the cow. I'm going to do that in black so you can see it better. So what we want to do is go up to this first block at the top. That's where we're going to start. And we're going to measure over. If you didn't have these grids, or and you only drew the big blocks, you're going to go down to the bottom of the first block and go over 4 inches and put a tick mark. Then you're going to go over 1.5 inches. Don't miss this one because we're going to use it again in a minute. But from that tick mark, go over 1.5 inches. Or 1.75 inches, I'm sorry. And put a tick mark. And then we can just draw that. But we're going to use that tick mark again in a minute. We'll come back to it. Alright. Now, we're going to draw the first ear now. So, I'm going to come over to here and drop down 1 inch and put a tick mark. I'm going to go back up here and come up 2 inches and to the left 1 inch. So, you see what I did? I went up 2 and over to the left. And then I'm just going to draw that line. See, it crossed over that one. And then, up here, we're going to go over 2.5 inches. And from there, we're dropping down 2 inches. And we're going over 1 inch. So go down and over 1 inch. So it'd be right there. See, that's half of that block over 1 inch. Now that's just the outline of his ear. We'll come back and do the rest of it in a minute, but we're going to draw the outline of the cow first. Okay. So then let's go down halfway of this line. And we're going to just draw, well, let's go to halfway of this line. Okay, so we've got the ear. Now, we're going to start right here, and we're going to go up halfway on that line. And we're just going to go straight across, but we're going to make a tick mark about 1/4 of an inch down. And we're just going to draw that line. Let's get another Sharpie. Excuse me, I got a frog in my throat. Alright, now we're going to go up 1 inch and then over in the middle of that block, see? And we're just going to connect that line. Now, I'm going slow, y'all, because I don't want to tell you wrong. So you see this point that we just did? We're just going to go straight over like half of that block, these 2 blocks, and half of this one. So it'll be 3 inches altogether. Okay. We're going to come down 1 inch and then over. And we're going to connect that dot. It's like connecting the dots. Remember those when we were little? I guess they still have connect the dot. Okay, And we're going to go down to the bottom of that block, so it's like a 1/2 inch. And we're going to count over 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's go to the bottom of that third one now. And drop down about 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so we've got our tick mark here. And we're going to drop down 2 1/2 and go over 1. Okay, now you see how we're drawing? You can start seeing the top of his head now. All right, let's go back up here so that you can see the outline a little bit better. We're going to go over 2 right here and go up to the top of this one. So over 2 and then up about 1 1/2 inches. And then we're going to go over 2 more. And drop down 1. All right, so let's get this one. We'll do the inside of his ear later. All right, then this, we're going to drop down 2 and over and make a tick mark. And then connect that. And that's his other ear. That's her other ear. All right, now let's go back here. And we're going to go all the way over to this block, drop down into the, so it's the second row, the last block. And we're going to count down from 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 inches right here, and we're going to drop down 3. 1, 2, 3, and make a tick mark there. And we're just going to connect that. And then we're dropping down 2 more and going over to the left-hand side. Well, about 3/4 of the way. So you got the tick mark here, drop down 2 and go to the left about 3/4 of an inch. And again, these don't have to be exact measurements, but it will help when you're drawing it to make it, the shape take form. So we're going to drop down 1. Like drop down 1 inch and go over 2 1/2 inch, well 2 1/4 inch. So we're going to go over from here, go to the end of the block and then 2 inches. That makes sense. Let me draw it and you can see what I did. All right, now, all we're going to do is go over 1 inch and up 1 inch. And then we're going to go count over 4 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4. And drop down to the bottom of that 4th one and make a tick mark. And then we're going to count over 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. And at the left-hand side, we're going up about 3/4 inch. And from there, we're going to drop down to the second block on the first row here. And we're from the very bottom, we're just going to go over 1 inch. and connect that. You see the cow starting to take shape? All right, now let's go back up here. We still are working on the shape of the cow. Now here's the first part. That's the top of his back. And remember this one I told you to hang on to not forget? We're going to drop down 1 3/4 and go over to the left. And from there, we're just going to go down to the 3rd block down in this block. In this big block, we're going down 3 inches. Okay. Then, go back to this spot right here that we did, this tick mark. We're going to drop down 2 inches and go to the left 2 inches. And make a tick mark. Again, your lines won't be near as fat as mine is because I'm using these big Sharpies. Speaking of Sharpie, somebody had shared that Sharpie made an extreme weatherproof Sharpie. And so I ordered some, and that's what I'm signing the back of my barn quilts with. Let me show you. See this? It says Sharpie Extreme Fade Resistant. So I know you put your name on the back of the barn quilt, and 99% of the time it's going to be up against something, so it's not going to fade but from the sun, but just the weather and the elements that might, if it rains behind it or something. Anyway, I'm going to try it and see what happens. But I was thankful that someone shared it with everybody. I was on one of those Facebook groups, I think Barn Quilt International or Barn Quilt Addicts. It's got an S on the end. Okay, I digressed, I'm sorry. So go to this mark, the last one we did, and we're going to go all the way down to this. This is the first row, second row, all the way to the corner of that 6x6 block. All right, now you see we got that cow starting to get a good outline to it. All right, now let's do his ears. Now from here, from there, we're going down 1 inch, then over to the, it'd be like go down and then over to the left a 1/2 inch. And then we're just going to connect those. Now we're just going to put the highlights around his ears. And so I just went up about 1/4 inch here. 1/4 inch here. And 1/4 inch there. Like on that, right in there. And I just, you can do it whatever way you think looks best. But this is what I did. So that's going to be a lighter brown. All right, now let's do this ear over here. Right in the middle of that, right in the middle of this one, you want to go up about 1/4 inch. Again, it doesn't have to be exact. And then we're going to go about 1/4 inch up that line, about 1/4 inch down from the top of that line, and then 1/4 of an inch down from the top of that corner. I made a line right there a while ago. It wasn't supposed to, so I covered it up. Alright, so there's his ear. Now let's draw his nose over here. So we want to go 1 inch up, then come over and meet that line. And we're going to go, don't count that, but go over 2. And about middle ways of that block, we're going to put a tick mark. And then we're going like drop down to the next line and over to the left 1 inch. And then we're going to drop down 2. Well, we're going to drop down 1.5 inches and go over 1/2 inch. Now let's just draw that. Connect our dots. There you go. Now, I just drew a triangle right here for the nostril, and then I just pretended the other one's on the other side. And you can make that a little bigger, or you can angle this one. This might look a little bit better if we angled it a little more. So when you're drawing yours, you can decide. All right. Yeah, I think that looks a little better. All right. We're getting there. Y'all hang in there now. Okay, let's go up the top here. And we're going to go all the way over to the end of our block here and make a tick mark. Then we're going to count over 3. 1, 2, 3. And count down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And on the right corner, we're going to make a tick mark there. All right, let's go ahead and draw those in. Okay. Then we're dropping down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going over 1. Well, we're not going over. There's 4, and we're going to the other side of that block. So from here, drop down 4 inches and go to the left 1 inch. Then I'm going to tattoo that word on my forehead. Then, now, let's go over 3 and go up about 3/4 of an inch. We want to make that a good angle here. And then we're going to drop down 2 and go over 1 to the left. So we've got another good angle. Now we're going to go all the way. We're going to count. So we're right here. 1, 2, 3. Counting over 2.5. 1, 2, and in the middle of that one, we're going to go up to the top of our 6-inch block. And then all we have to do is draw this line and connect it with the right side of the ear. Alright, then let's go ahead and make this other line here. From here to back to that. Still that right side of the ear. Alright. And before I do this other, you know, you could just make you like a diamond shape here for his eye. There you go. Just kind of like an inch or 3/4 inch block, that, but shape it like a diamond. Okay. Now let's go to this first block. Well, first block, second row. We're gonna go to the corner, drop down 2 inches, and go to the left 1 inch. I'm trying to say it in case you don't have all these little blocks on yours. But I would say draw this on paper first before you start drawing it on your board, unless you're just really confident with it. If you got heat erasable pens, it's not going to matter because you can just get rid of the line if you do it wrong. But you could draw it on paper first just to get the feel for it, and then draw it onto your board. Alright, and you may say, well, I'd rather have it angled a different way or something, and you could do that. Do it the way you want to do it. Alright, so we got that mark, and we're going back up here to the ear, right in the center of that line. At the bottom of his ear, we're going to draw a line. And then we're going to go over 1 inch to the right on that 6 inch block line. Go to the bottom and go over 1 inch to the right. So it's over 1 inch, down 4, and then over another inch, or from here drop down 4 inches and go to the right 2 inches. And then from here, that mark, we're just going to the corner of our board, or our paper. And a couple more and we'll be finished. Here, drop down 2 and go over about a 1/2 inch. And then we're going down 1 and all the way to meet that one. So connect this one and then just drop down to meet that line. And there is your cow. Take a screenshot of that right quick so that you'll see it. And I was going to come along and draw these measurements on here, but I really feel like you can see it, especially if you want to grid it off, just 1 inch grids all over. I mean, it doesn't take that long to do that. And you could do it on your board first if you wanted to do that. But like I said, get the back of some Christmas wrapping paper if you don't have big grid paper, because a lot of times Christmas wrapping paper has that 1 inch block grid on it. Just make sure it's 1 inch. And then, let's see. Y'all want to see the colors that I used? Take a screenshot of that so you'll have your pattern. And when I say take a screenshot, you can do it with your phone or tablet, but if you're watching it on TV, just take a picture from your phone of that screen and you can print it out. Alright, here's the cow. And let me get the colors. Here we go. I need one more. Okay. Alright. For her nose, I used pottery wheel. For the white, I didn't want like a really bright white, so I used polished ivory. For the inside of her ears, I used priceless coral. You could use a pink, whatever you wanted. For the really dark brown, I used Little Bear. And these are all Valspar or Bear. Most of these, I think, are Valspar. And then for the lighter brown right here, I used Natural Bark. Now for my background around the cow, I used Moment of Grace. But you could use any color that you preferred. But anyway, I just thought this would make a good companion to that corn and beans. Corn and beans is like a standard quilt block. And you could have one on each side if you wanted to do a triple. You could have the cow in the middle and the corn and beans on each side. But for the corn and beans, you could actually switch up the colors and say where the yellow, put the green, and where the green was, put the yellow on another one. So that they would match good. Anyway, I hope you had a good time. Hope you draw this. And if there's some way you can send me a picture of what you drew, I would like to see it. But just message me in the comments if you need anything. I'll be glad to answer your questions. And these bottles, in case you're wondering, come from lolavefe.com. Let me show you. Okay. So take a screenshot of that or just write it down if you want to, but it's lolavefe.com. Use code Kathy10 to get 10% off the order. And I'll get you some of these bottles. Now, I'm not sponsored, but she just gave us this code so we could get a discount off of them. They come 5 in a pack. And so, you know, I've got a lot of them, but it's just built up over time. But anyway, I love them. And I hope you have fun. Happy painting. I'll see you all in the next video.